This is the Amp Hour Podcast. Released October 9th, 2022. Episode 604. Robo Fry Guy.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
Recording a day early.
A dollar short.
You put me on the spot here.
I know. Well, you know.
Usually I do extensive preparation
Research.
work for the
Reading,
Amp Hour.
We're always ready to go. Yeah. I've opened Reddit.
Yes, I've opened Reddit. This is my entire preparation, and literally I've just opened Reddit. I haven't even opened the links within Reddit. So, my goodness, this is going to be a dog's breakfast, this one. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I had a minute's more preparation, I would have been fine. But no.
That's what happens. That's what happens last minute. Yep.
Anyway,
so much for that.
Because we have a guest on next week who I was supposed to record with today, and then she didn't. The times were goofed up, so will be. Time got goofed.
Did you guys? No, you guys have daylight savings coming this weekend, right?
It's already happened. It's already happened.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so it's 10:40 a.m. here, dude.
Oh, late in the day. Jeez.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. Mm-hmm. I just thought of another link I should send you. I'm sending you a preview link as well. We could talk about this too. Me and Dave have a back channel we call Google Chat.
Right. We keep the back channels open to stave off disaster.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, now that one of our other channels is going to get all crazy, now that Papa Elon's going to be in charge of Twitter.
Hey, yay! That'll be fun.
It's gonna be something.
It's gonna be something. Yeah, you're right.
Dave. I think if nothing else, it'll be different.
It'll be different. Yep. It'll be a different look and feel. Yep.
That's right. I was listening to the, I think I mentioned on the show before. I listened to Pivot, the Kara Swisher, Scott Galloway podcast. I really like it. Highly recommend it. Both of those folks are really awesome. And they did an emergency podcast yesterday where they were talking about the deal of it's its own thing. We don't need to talk about it here, but it's it'll be Twitter might get interesting soon. Interestinger.
Okay.
So
okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen what I just tweeted out just before this? We're going to have to link it in because it's excellent. I just sent you the link there.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And it's yes, it is it's the hyper encabulator. I have no idea what Sans ICS is. Sans, maybe they make stuff. I don't know. They might make network here. But anyway, the hyper encabulator, they've got the original turbo encabulator guy back.
Really?
And he's looking pretty schmick.
Yeah.
Yep, they've got him back. The guy who did the original turbo encabulator, he's back, and he's now telling us all about the hyper encabulator. And it's very good. So, yep.
I guess we should also link in the turbo encabulator video.
Oh, yeah. Well, everyone's seen the original turbo encabulator video. From when was that? When does that dates from the 70s sometime, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
what a gag,
it's terrific.
Long game kind of gag too,
Yeah. We could also link in my Keysight one as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did one too. That's right.
The retro encabulator.
Retro encabulator.
Yes, that's right. Yes. There is a mix. There is a mix on the Keysight site where they had myself.
That's right. Daniel put that together, right?
Yeah. Yep. And it was myself, Medi, Great Scott, I think, and a couple of other YouTubers. But if you want to see my extended version, the extended cut, it's on my EEV Blog 2 channel. So we will link that in.
Okay. We'll link that in. Yep.
Anyway, the hyper encabulator, it looks very good. It's to do with network security, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's absolutely. The production value on it. I want to know how they did it, quite frankly.
Well, I haven't watched it yet, so I don't really know what you're talking about. You might have to give a little word picture here.
Flick through it and just have a look at the actual and how they go from one angle to the next, and it's just beautifully produced. So I want to know how they spent some serious coin actually producing this. So Yeah.
it does look like a lot of green screen as well.
Yeah. It's, but still
But
it's
that doesn't make it cheap necessarily. It just makes it a
because it's hard to
different
do
problem to
that.
have.
Like, because you can see
Yeah.
the shadow behind him
Yeah.
on the like whew, right?
Yeah.
This is like,
Yeah.
this is serious production coin. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm very impressed.
I should probably warn people here too. I'm going to give everybody a heads up here in 6:04. That's the episode we're recording right now. I am deep into using Dolly, the AI image generator. I don't know if you've seen that one open. That's now open to the public.
Right? No,
So
I haven't seen it because it's not open to the public. Obviously, I don't have a secret invite.
Well, you don't need a secret invite. That's the thing. You don't need one anymore.
Right.
So I had used this. I don't know when it was. A couple months ago. Like it was like a photo of like 9 people like screaming. It was like humans screaming into microphone. It was like about 8. We were talking about AI in the show, and so I used this Dolly Mini basically, which is like you give it a phrase.
It's Dolly.
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 Dolly. It's not an O. There's no O in there. It's not a dolly. It's not like a camera dolly.
Right. It looks like Wall-E, like the Disney movie. So I think it's like Dolly, but yeah, you're right. It's Dolly. Okay, whatever.
It is DALL. So however you pronounce it, I'm sure it's not Dolly.
DALL. That's right. Well, anyways, it is so easy to generate images. So I've been doing that for like work stuff, and we're gonna do it for the amp hour. So I talked to Alicia about it. Embedded FM's using it too. It's just like so like we always kind of struggle like what the hell should we do with the show and like show notes, and it's usually nonsense anyways if it's not a guest photo. Just preparing people for that. It's going to get more ridiculous.
Oh, I've got to sign up, do I? I can't just.
Yeah, it's a sign up. Yeah,
right.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, but then you get like 50 free. Basically, it's like you get 50 free credits or 50 free like tries basically to put in this phrase and it'll generate images. And then past that, then you have to pay.
I see an example here of an astronaut riding a horse in space.
Right.
So I'm sure if you type in give me a picture of an astronaut riding a horse in space, that's what it would.
Right. And it'll do variations on that too. It's basically grabbing, it's like compounding images from all over the web.
Yeah, right.
It's very impressive what it does.
Okay.
But some of it is just absolute nonsense.
Right.
So
okay, I'll give it a try.
There's a PDF on like how to actually like prompt it with stuff as well.
Okay, right. The art is in how to prompt it in the correct way.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you're doing a what's it called, auto routing. Right?
Yeah.
You better put the parts in the right place.
You've got to put them in the right place and set it up the constraints and the rules, and then it can do a nice job. Exactly. That's and then
it can. It really can. Yeah. So like that's fine. But it's all about, and like that's I think a good, both of those. I think both the art thing and the auto router thing, I think are both good examples of like that hybrid AI plus human kind of thing. I think that's kind of the future of a lot of work. I'm not sure. We'll see where it plays in. Like I don't expect it to do well with. I don't like expect any like AI sourcing engine. Like I don't think.
No, it's like
DigiKey is going to be search for me anytime soon. I would just take a good search engine. But
right.
Yeah.
DigiKey, give me the best op amp.
Yeah, right.
And like, hello, what? I don't know. Right. Here's an LM324.
This is the best op amp, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, that is the engineering piece these days.
But it's the same with everything. It's the same with full self-driving AI. It's the same with humanoid robots. Hey, there's a segue. I've done a video on this. And
really? What did you do a video on? I didn't see it.
The Tesla AI Day.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah, no, I did. I saw that headline and then I...
Right. Well, see, but it wasn't about that. It was about a really cool electronics thing, which I can tell you about if you would like.
Let's give a little sampler so people go watch the video. How about
that? Right, okay. The sampler was like, don't care about the robot, right? Like an hour into the presentation, Tesla have developed their own... not mainframe, like, a supercomputer hardware stuff, right? Sure. These rack things, I can't remember the name of them. Anyway, these supercomputer racks, they've developed all these. They've developed their own processors, of course. This is all to process the data that they get from the Teslas, figuring out the AI, right? The AI is not just a magic algorithm. It just works. It needs to be trained on real world data, right? So they've developed their own processor to do all this training and develop their own server racks. And in doing that, they have to actually design, incredibly dense processor and power requirements. Apparently, they've developed one of the most dense power supplies in the world in terms of watts per square centimeter, right?
Yeah.
And they've got all this technical information in the AI day. So forget about the stupid, barely walking humanoid robot.
Yeah.
Right? No,
yeah,
all the cool stuff,
all
the cool engineering is in there. And it's amazing the amount of detail that they share. And what they shared was one of their failures, right? How they were, they developed this new supercomputer rack and they start using it and everything. And they start getting these failures, like, little dropouts here in because it's all multi-process, thousands of processors, right? So one processor might just suddenly drop out for a bit. Ooh, what's going on?
Like in like on a CAN bus or something like that? Or
no, it's not a CAN bus. It's like, the supercomputer cluster array bus.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking inside the robot now. You're saying like
no. This has nothing to do with the robot. This is to do with Tesla's supercomputer.
So we're talking about network hardware, basically.
Network hardware. Think big supercomputer racks, right?
Got it. So network center, like
network center
that was talking
racks.
about that.
Yep.
Laura from I forget the name of her company. She was giving a talk about server racks and stuff like that. She was from Anyways, I'll link that in as well. Yep.
Cool. And so they've developed like some of the highest end supercomputer hardware in the world. Anyway, so they were getting these dropouts on these racks as they were processing or individual processors within the rack, in their big supercomputer array. And they were trying to figure out why. And they've got all this information in the AI day about how they found this failure and, figured out what it was and fixed it. It turns out that it was a failure in not the power supply itself, because the power supply is like this little 1,000-watt brick module, and that's one of the world's densest power supplies. It's a 12-phase, so it's a 12-phase MOSFET, so there's 12 gigantic MOSFETs on there and everything. But because they had to keep this whole thing so dense, they put the main oscillator on there as well for the processor, apparently, or whatever. So they put it on the power supply board. And I've got to spoil it. There's no way I can leave it hanging, right? I've got to spoil it here.
We could bleep it out. We could bleep it out.
Oh, right. I can bleep.
And so it's the bleep.
So it wasn't the actual power supply that failed, but it was the MEMS. It was a MEMS oscillator, a micro-machined oscillator on there that failed. And, well, I won't go into reasons why. So maybe put your thinking cap on and figure out how a MEMS oscillator can fail on a dense power supply board.
The answer to our puzzler will be in the third half of the show.
Right. Oh, yeah. You have to and I'll give the answer right at the end, just before we sign off.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, that was absolutely fascinating. So I did this video about how I don't care about the humanoid robot, right? So what? But here's this real fascinating thing that they're sharing the failure of this thing. Yeah. What other company does that? Actually, I've got to take my hat off to them, right? Here they are giving a detailed presentation of how they epically failed, right? And how they fixed it.
Some of them do. Some of them talk about it in like lessons learned. I think usually it was an open source project or no?
No. This is Tesla's own internal stuff. As far as I know, it's not open source.
So Facebook has Facebook started a network. I think so. Laura was from Oxide Computer. I think she might have mentioned it in the episode, but basically Facebook has a open source project they started basically for like power supplies around server hardware. And I think there was some stuff like tied into Zephyr, I think, or maybe there's some stuff in there, but basically there is this big open source project around that because it's like they're all reinventing a lot of the same kind of things, right? And so why not make it open source at that point?
Yep. Fair enough. I'm not sure if Tesla are open sourcing their supercomputer cluster and their
it's just the logistical, like it's just like power delivery systems and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. I greatly doubt you can download the Altium files for Tesla's board that we're talking about, so anyway. But to share this, right, on their huge once a year presentation day that everybody every human on the planet's watching, it's like, wow, that's
Yeah, that's
so
great.
I was impressed by that. And of course, I upload a video, 90% of us talking about that and 10% is, hey, here's the Tesla bot. And of course, in the comments, all anyone can talk about is the stupid humanoid Tesla bot.
That's how it goes, man.
And I made another prediction, and I'll stand by it again, that you won't be buying a humanoid robot for use around your home this decade. It's just not going to happen.
There's all these things about robotics getting into like fast food now, and like I could start, but like even still, you start seeing like, so like there's always these articles that came out about it. I just saw there was a joke about it, like how the robot has to be high to work at a fast food store, fast food place. That was on Colbert, and like there starts to be like a price thing, right? So I think the price that I saw was like $5,000 for install, and then like $3,500 a month or something like that. No, sorry, like $30,000 a month. Basically, it started to approach the cost of an employee. That's really what it kind of like, that's what they're playing towards. Yes. And like, okay, yeah, like I mean, if we're being honest, that starts to make sense, especially with like rising wages, that sort of thing. Like it just for like
these things are complex,
repetitive tasks.
These things aren't cheap.
But the robots are. That's right. And I think a lot of these are like loss leaders too, where I mean like the robot, they're definitely not paying for the development of the robot, but maybe it's like the long-term maintenance and they're looking to do that sort of thing. But like a robot that's controlling a fryer, like have you ever worked like a deep fat fryer before, Dave?
We had those in the 80s. Yeah, that was a thing. You probably don't remember this, but every house had a
you had them in the house.
Fryer. Every house had a deep fryer. Like I'm talking maybe late 70s, late 70s cornballer. What's that?
The corn that's an Arrested Development joke. Sorry.
Right. Okay. No.
Cornballer.
Yep.
Anyways, so really, you had them in the house. Okay.
This was all the thing, dude. You're just way too young. Yeah, 1970s. Every household.
I worked in fast food, so I worked fast food for like 5 years, so I was like the fry guy for a while, and like it was just a nasty environment.
Where at?
When I was growing up in Buffalo, New York, there's a frozen custard and roast beef place called Anderson's.
Right.
And so
here we go, folks. We haven't heard this
there
before.
For 5
this
years.
Is news to me.
I guess this is new. Yeah, 12 years in, learning something new.
Yeah.
No, I worked there 5 years, like in summers and sometimes during the school year as well.
Okay, so it was a summer job, as you Yanks call it.
And you know what? The most valuable thing I learned in that job is I like getting paid more than the bare minimum.
Right. Okay.
And I wanted to do something interesting with my time. I think it's like really important to just be like, oh, any old job isn't going to be good enough for me. I should do something I want to do. And, decided to go to school and, like just all of it. I just think it's good to level set kind of thing there. But now future little Chris's of the world, maybe the robots will be doing all the gross stuff. And,
I just sent you a link. I've done a second channel video of a robotic ice cream bar.
Oh, that thing. Oh, that thing's so dumb. Oh my God. I saw that. Yeah.
We've probably talked about it before. It's just hideous. And it's so slow. And it's just, oh my God. Like, no, there's no way I would go back to that. Like we walked up to it. We happened to be walking past it in Melbourne, I think it was. And we just saw, that's like novel. So we went up to it and we're just watching it do its robotic thing.
See, this is the same kind of thing here. So like just watching your video here, it's like an articulating multi-axis arm. And it's like you're putting this robot into a human context, right? So basically it's like scooping ice cream out of a freezer where you're scooping ice cream. It's like, that's just bad machine design in the first place, right?
I know. It's just, they're trying to emulate, they're trying to emulate a human behind the counter. Like the robot even looks like a human. It's got big humanoid eye things and it's got a big screen on its chest and it's got these arms and things and it doesn't actually do anything. It slides back and forth on a dolly.
Yeah, it's just
dolly. On a dolly that slides back and forth. Hey. Mm-hmm. And then it's got this robotic scooper arm is actually a separate thing by the looks of it, and it's it's dumb and it's so slow and it's like
I think that's the thing. But a lot of these things are like you start to see like alternative serving solutions and stuff like that. Just sticking in the food industry type of thing, right? Like I was just in an airport and I saw like there's like a little like you order at a screen that's everywhere now. But now it was like just
common,
like your food comes out of locker, right? And it's not not as space locker, constrained.
Yes, I was going to mention those. Yeah, right. I've seen. Right. I've never actually seen one in real life, but I've heard about them.
Okay, well, the Raleigh Durham Airport, But the big thing being just like like if you're retrofitting into like a traditional like McDonald's fast Macca's, sorry,
Yep, Macca's.
if you're
Yep.
if you're retrofitting into there, then your robot basically has to have like a human form factor because that's what it's all been built for. But if you're switching to a different context where you're like, okay, if it's robot first, then it starts to make sense. But then you're battling the other direction of like nobody knows your brand. You're you're still space constrained. There's other. It's just difficult to run robots as well. So like you have to like basically build enough of a brand that you could support the robots, and like that just is a push pull that's not really there. So I can imagine like a Macca's or a big Burger King or something like doing a concept store where they already have the brand and it's all robot, and like that might work. But like all the retrofit stuff is retrofit stuff. It's just like it's always off the shelf type of hardware, and I don't know.
Yep. No, it's just so how do these locker on the wall things work? Are there people like actually behind the wall and they just shove this stuff into the locker and you open it and get it?
Yeah, you just get a number. Yeah, I mean it's literally just like a serving. It's just a kitschy thing.
Why don't they just have a counter and they serve it to you and smile instead of just shoving it in a locker like a it's
I think it could keep stuff warm and like all of that kind of logistical stuff.
Maybe,
and then it's also you're sure it's your food because your phone gets a thing that says, "Hey, your food is at locker 5."
Oh, how big a problem is that? Really?
At airports, that's a big problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Instead of someone like coming out and being like Dave, and 5 people say, "I'm Dave."
Yeah, I'm Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still kitschy, right? Don't get me wrong, but it's just there are that's like a wallpaper kind of problem rather than the stuff behind the wallpaper.
Yeah. Well, like I tweeted this yesterday and you mentioned it. You hinted at it before in that, you have to be like maybe a huge corporation to invest in this. Like a local cafe here in my business park, it's actually for sale. Well, the cafe is not for sale, but the company but the actual property is, right? You can physically buy the property, and then the company that runs the cafe has a lease, right? And they actually revealed the details of what they're paying. It's like $170,000 a year for the lease. And it's like
that's a lot. That's a lot.
That is a lot, right? It's a pretty big space. It's premium kind of thing, but still
a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's still
a lot of money, right? 100 and somebody on Twitter ran through the calculations of what that is per customer per minute or something. $3 per customer per minute or something. Nuts, right? So they're already struggling to eke out a living, paying the rent on the place, let alone to buy freaking humanoid robots or whatever. Oh God.
Yep.
It turns out I've done a lot of this recently. I did a video on, I think it was my main channel, on the robotic pizza delivery.
Yep.
And I made the call that they will not be a thing. That robotic deliveries will not be a thing.
In our usual level of preparedness here, I was furiously searching for stuff. I went to New York Times and I thought I had seen an article about this robotic food here. And so I searched robot fast food. And wouldn't you know it?
What turns up?
August 24th, 1988. An article, Business Technology, Robots to Make Fast Food Chains, People Still Faster.
Right. And it's still the same today.
It's the same. It's the exact same story.
It's the same story.
Just like, oh my God, that's perfect. That is perfect.
Everyone thought that they owned me, right? Because they sent in Milton Keynes, I think it is a suburb in the UK, right? Milton Keynes.
Milton Keynes, like isn't that Economist? Like Keynesian?
No. That's not
Keys.
That's not Keynesian.
Not Keynes?
Milton Keynes, like it's a hyphenated name suburb.
Got it, but not Keynes. Got it. No N in there. Okay.
Not
Keys.
Keys.
Like jingly things.
Jangling keys. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah. Cool.
These things. Sound effects. Jangling keys.
Got it. Ooh.
Milton Keynes. ASMR. Yep. We're missing a whole market for electronics ASMRs. Here's soldering. I am now soldering.
The sound of your board burning in the oven. Oh God.
How we get onto that? Anyway, the fetish is real though.
I know.
Anyway, so everyone thought, hey, and Dave, you're completely wrong. Ha! Milton Keynes in the UK has these Starship robots that's been hugely successful. They're running Starship as a company that make automated robots that actually deliver your groceries or your fish and chips from the local store to your house, right? And they're going, but
like
it
last mile
works,
style thing.
and everyone loves it, everyone uses it, and it's like, yeah, Milton Keynes, okay, they happen to have like 50 kilometers of these, premium maintained cycleways and everything, right? That and they happen to have a nice, friendly British town where nobody's gonna, actually throw these in the river for fun, steal the food, stuff like that, right? Yes, you can make these work in certain niche areas and circumstances under optimal conditions, but for a generic, but the one I was talking about was trying to run pizza in New York or something, right? It's like, come on, these things aren't going to last, and I went through 5 reasons why it's not viable, right? And it's like any one of those is a showstopper, right? It's like you've got to solve all of these problems, and it's like, no.
Yeah, I think that's always the thing. It's always like the demo version, the proof of concept versus like the hardened real world version. Like the I'm more on the side of automated or like self-driving cars than you are, right? You're very bearish. I'm very bullish.
You still think it's a thing?
No. I know you're like that, but I will say I would never ever trust I wouldn't think at night. I think at night that's really tough, right? I think which is a ton of driving, and then like I just can't imagine a self-driving car in the snow. Like I barely trust myself driving in the snow, and and like just having that as another constraint there, and I just think that's a note for me.
Here's where the supporters will come out, because I've mentioned this many times over the last decade or so, right? And they'll all come out and say, so I've made the argument before. Have you tried driving in Sydney at night in rain on going down the wrong way street because it's because the roadworks are just everywhere and they change every single day, and it's like, oh God, driving in Sydney is awful at the best of times, right? I'm talking about like in the really congested city areas and stuff like that, and it's like but then all the supporters will come out and say, but Dave, that's the perfect time because these sensors can see things that your eyes can't. You've got the radar sensors that can, see they can see through the rain and they can do all this and that. And it's like, no, dude, sorry. No.
Yeah. I think we're just going to be, I think you're going to be a very trailing edge user of that technology. I will probably be a middle of the pack sort of thing. And I think what it really points to is in all these cases is like, if you have the ability, I think the highest likelihood for success, like you said, with that delivery service, like with robots in the right, size of restaurant or whatever, like if you have control over the situation, then like take it.
Yeah. If you're gonna, of course.
Like design your setup so that like you will be successul because you have really nice roadways, or you have really a very well formatted kitchen for the robots you're trying to do.
And this is why completely robot automated warehouses and stuff work, right? You control the space, right? You can make
I think
it work,
that's ultimately the fetishization, if that's an overused word, but I think it's like the fetishization of humanoid robots, because it's like, well, they could do anything. It's like,
exactly.
But you have to design so many corner cases, and then you have to make these super robots that are super, super expensive.
Yeah.
I think about all the time, like the best robot that I have in my life is my washer and dryer. Like that is
absolutely
a very optimized solution for what it is. Not saying it couldn't improve, but for like what it is and the size constraints, you think about like loading into a house, how big they can be, energy efficiency,
they're tiny. They're in a standard form factor, 600 mil by 600. And
they are robots, right? I mean, they're very simple robots, but they are, and they allow an automation.
Well, they've got rather complicated cycles and stuff, that optimize the process and stuff. But
I just mean like versus like it's not a single like algorithm, but it is a single use thing, right? I'm not going to use my washing machine to cook my breakfast, whereas like a humanoid robot, you'd be like, oh, fold my clothes and then cook my breakfast.
Of course.
So it is single use in that way, but it is there's all of these pieces of automate. Maybe people say, "Oh, it's not a robot," but it's at least a piece of automation in my life that is very, very, very valuable. Thinking about the alternative of not having it. So, like, I don't know where I was going with that, but I'm just trying to say I love my washer and dryer.
When you try and design a jack of all trades, it's a master of none. That is the famous saying, and it comes up, and it is true time and time again. Jack of all trades, master of none. This is why,
There's
everyone
some
tries
additional
to,
piece of that, isn't there?
What? No,
but isn't there like I thought there was like a little poem around that, but
no, that's news to me. No, it's just jack of all trades, masters of none. It's like it's really good in say a Swiss Army knife, for example, right? Okay, you've got like several tools in one. A multimeter, right? Nobody has just a voltmeter anymore, right? Whereas that was a thing back in the day.
Right.
You would just have a voltmeter. You'd just have an ohmmeter, right? You would just have an amp meter.
Isn't that a counterexample though? Wouldn't that be a counterexample? Because it's saying we're saying that like a single use is better in that case.
Oh no, it's not, right? I can. What I'm saying is that you can make jack of all trades tools work, but only in certain circumstances. More often than not, though, you're going to come a gutser. Right? When you try and develop a multi-purpose tool, I'm saying that a multi-purpose tools can work and you can develop useful ones, and I'm giving examples. But there's so many examples when you can just push it a little bit too far. It's like, and it just becomes, if you're trying to solve too many problems at once with the one thing, then it's just, nah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I have been on a path towards single-use electronics, as it were. I sent you some photos of the things I've been not disposable, but basically very, very single use. So I designed stuff in for my current role. I've been designing kind of like this generic, monstrously large thing that I call the Aludel. It's like this big industrial box, and it's like got a bunch of plug-in headers. There's nothing really special about it other than like it's the form factor that I want.
Right.
But it like kind of brings everything in, and now it's like, oh well, I started thinking like, well, actually, I want to build demos and like some examples for clients and potential clients, stuff like that, and so I'm going the other direction now. So now I'm saying like, well, what if I had a very simple, very very simple PCB where I'm not putting down sensors. I still want to like save time and complexity by not having to like source everything on a board and like sourcing individual sensors. So I'm still buying off the shelf sensor breakout boards, but now I'm just like making it simple to solder them together in what I call like Lego prototyping. So basically just taking sensor boards, they've got headers on, they've got 0.1-inch headers on them.
Yep.
And then soldering, basically the point-to-point wiring I would be doing and have done in like some hot glue prototypes. Now I'm making it like a one and done kind of board. So basically the 5 JLC PCBs I buy, that is the entirety of the run that I will do for all.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Got it.
Like, I don't know. I think about like breadboarding stuff is great at first, or equivalent breadboarding.
It has its niche, but yeah.
Yeah. But then building a second one it's like
you start slightly annoying. Yes, I know. So you often go straight to the PCB, especially that they're so cheap and easy these days. Or as you said, you can just cobble together various sensor and demo boards. To actually do something. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm still like, I'm still in low volume prototype type of thing. I'm still buying relatively expensive. You're still paying for a breakout board is basically like $5, maybe a $5 sensor, and then like a tiny PCB and like a linear regulator, and then I pay $20 to $25 for that. It's like why would you do that?
You don't care.
But, exactly. Yeah.
You don't care because you're making what 5
the cost of my time. Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's the cost of the time of like thinking about soldering that down or sourcing a part, that sort of thing. It's just like
imagine if you're doing like a switch mode power supply. Why would you if you're only making a small run of 10 or something, you just buy a off the shelf power brick. You buy one of those little TI power bricks that work. You don't want to have to dick around with selecting the right MOSFET and inductor and going through all the calculations and then hoping it doesn't bloody oscillate on you or something. No, you just buy the pre-done module. It's easy.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been doing that too for like wireless modules too, so I can like, I know how to design antennas and I can do controlled impedance stuff out of chips now. Like I know how to do all that stuff now. but it's a dumb idea. It's a dumb idea for like the volume that I'm doing. It would be really a big waste of time. And so like buying a prefab module, oh, awesome. You know, that's like even a level down from where I usually am these days.
Right.
Yeah.
Now
I'm doing this in order to measure garbage. Do you happen to see my my garbage measurement?
I have not seen your garbage measurement. Are
My
you
garbage
measuring
measurement,
the level of garbage?
I am, yeah. So it's number 10 on the list. That's what I've been posting about. So yeah, so I made a hot glue prototype. If you click on the reference design link, I made a hot glue prototype. It's pretty gnarly inside, a lot of hot glue, and it's got like a bunch of, it's basically the same boards that I'm talking about here, like the breakout boards. It's got time of flight sensor, gas sensor, temperature sensors, accelerometer, and then I'm piping all that stuff to the internet over cellular.
A gas sensor?
Yep.
So you're
Like
so you care
like that
you're
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So you care if your garbage is stinky or not.
It's it's basically opportunistic because it's like it was free. It came with the other thing on there.
Got it.
But you think about like a garbage can, if someone was like illegally dumping paint or something in a trash can or exceedingly stinky, you could in theory do that. But really it's just, Chris figuring out a way to say, hey, we should put another sensor on here.
Right.
It would probably get ripped off. It's not a cheap sensor.
Yeah, that's good. Oh yeah, they're pretty pricey. Yeah.
Yeah, the CCS 811.
Right.
But yeah, this is the output of me learning more Zephyr stuff. So I've mentioned that on the show before.
Cool and groovy.
Yeah, I'm getting better at it, Dave. I wouldn't call myself a firmware person yet, but I am doing firmware things.
Excellent.
I am somewhat capable now.
Yeah, but you're doing higher level stuff. You're not doing like a little pick. You're not doing little 8-bit pick.
Right. Yeah, I don't think you'd use a real-time operating system for that sort of thing anyways.
No.
Yeah, it's definitely higher level. Right. But like, you still got to take readings from sensors and, interface to stuff. And you still have to turn stuff on and off, and you have to send stuff to the internet. So some of that stuff's tougher, I think. The little 8-bit pick is also good for setting timers and that sort of thing.
Cool.
It's actually interesting, like switching in the real-time operating world. It's like I actually, unless you need something like really tight timing, I like, maybe you're like doing like a motor, you're doing like a beam interrupter for like tracking a motor or something like that, or like a rotary encoder. You really don't need hardware timers when you have a real-time operating system, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I know, but I'm an old school guy. Give me the hardware timer,
Yeah, I mean, you still can. It's just like it's
of course,
really easy to do it. Once you get into a real-time operating system, it's real fast and easy. So that part's cool.
Well, it depends on how fast you want it. If you want if you want microseconds, can you do that? It depends on how fast your OS can do that in real time, right?
Yeah,
it's like it starts to get hard at microseconds. If you're doing sort of like something in the millisecond region, it's it's fine. But yeah,
I think that's I agree with that assessment. Yeah,
cool bananas.
Speaking of, how is your coding and or logic world? Are you still chasing down the RP2040 or something else?
I am trying to decide at the moment because I've got a new project which I want to do, and I'm deciding. Yeah. And once again, this would potentially require hardware timers for this. Yeah. So I'm trying to decide, how should I do this? Because I haven't decided the exact spec on how fast I want it to actually be able to time things. So that determines the product spec would determine how you would actually design it. How would you go about designing it? Would you use, would you use a CPLD or an FPGA with, like really fast hardware counters in there? If you need to time in the megs region, right? If you want to, then, you can't really do that in a micro kind of, well, it depends, some micros, but if you want to go up to
I use a 600 megahertz microcontroller these days, which is pretty insane.
So that's pretty insane. How fast can their internal hardware counters work though?
I have no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't use them.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would I? Yeah, it's the same part that's on the Teensy 4. It's a beast. It's the RT 1062.
Right.
Yeah, from NXP. Yeah, beast.
Yep. Some of them are specifically designed for this. Like, you know, they will specifically have extremely fast, hard, and multi-channel hardware timers and stuff like that. You can buy specific micros targeted for those niche things. So
like they'll be above the system clock, even like multiply it up, or
yes,
what?
yes, they will be much faster. They're totally independent. They're like, you know, you externally clock them. You know, they've got their own dedicated hardware for.
Is that for motor control, or what's that for?
Oh, motor control's one of it. You know, really high speed motor control and you know, feedback and, you know, I don't know, stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. So neat. yeah, you can get specific chips.
Are you talking about what you're doing, or no? Or is
not yet. Not yet.
Okay.
So yeah. Okay. Anyway, it's a product for the lab that you probably didn't think you needed, but I'm hoping that there'll be a whole bunch of people that go, oh yeah, that could be handy. Okay. So, you know, yeah. Anyway, so we'll work on
this week. I got it back into my stupid head that I was like, you know what I need, Dave, is a milling machine.
Oh God, not again.
Yeah, exactly. That is the second thought I had, which was, what the hell are you talking about, Chris? You've had a milling machine.
Yeah, but now you have your own house. Back then you had a milling machine in your apartment or something, didn't you? Or something?
What was it? I had it in a house. I used to have a house as well. I was moving to an apartment, and I said,
right. Oh,
I
that's
shouldn't
right.
have.
That's right. You shouldn't have a milling machine. Yeah.
I do agree generally with that. Although John Saunders, the NYC CNC guy, that's how he started. He bought a mill, a CNC mill, and put it in a New York City apartment, I think. So
right. Okay. Fair enough. But
this is I think the big difference here is that I'm like, so again, because I'm doing like low quantity prototypes, I'm buying boxes off the shelf, which is another thing we could talk about if you really want. Boy, if you really want to get into some exciting stuff, let's talk about plastic boxes and shopping for them.
I'm about to do that because the form factor of the product that I'm talking about I was almost going to go live last weekend, actually shopping for a suitable plastic enclosure for this thing.
It is a mess. In fact, I want someone to roll into my house with I want someone to like roll up like P.T. Barnum and Bailey and just like have like come on up to all of the different boxes you can save. You know, like that's all I really want in life, and it doesn't exist anymore.
I have a whole video. I got a video for everything. Here's a video dedicated to how to search for electronic plastic enclosures. There you go.
I mean, no, I know this one, Dave. You know why I know this one?
Why?
Because you made this in response to me.
I made this video in response to you, did I?
That's right. Yeah.
Really?
Talk about folding back on itself there. Yeah. Remember I was complaining about.
Yeah.
This is 5 years ago. I was complaining about not being able to find a box.
Right.
And I said something about like having battery enclosures, and you're like, well, I can make a video about that.
Oh, really?
Because even at the beginning of the video, you go, a friend recently was complaining about not being able to find a box. Yeah.
Yes, I just played it. A friend who shall remain nameless.
Yeah, that's me, folks. Yeah. I think I called you out for that around the time. But anyways, yes, that was a good video. It's a good video. I have since learned how to do it. I think I don't remember the context of what it was. I think it was after the show. I was complaining to you about not being able to find a box. But
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was
what are you looking for on this coming project that's special?
A sloped enclosure. So a desktop with a slopey screen thing. So like
so it has the right angle.
Like angle? So like it's the sloped enclosures I'm talking about, right? You can get like a desktop and it's not flat. It's like it's sloped, right? So if you have controls on there, they're more angled. But I want that sloped, but with an extra slope at the end at the top side for a screen, right? So I want that form.
Now I'm having trouble with that.
Okay,
so
I'll try.
So it's like if it's at 90 degrees. So like if you had a box sitting up on a shelf in front of you, like on a where you have your test equipment.
Yeah.
You're saying if 90 degrees is straight up and down, it would be the bottom would be tilted towards you. Is that right? So it would be kind of pointed towards the ceiling more.
The bottom is pointed towards the ceiling more. The top is angled more to what, like if you're sitting at a desk, then the screen is like you can get like little desktop clocks with like an angled screen on them.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that, but kind of like fixed though. So yeah.
Okay. And like, what would you estimate the angles like?
Oh, 45, 60 degrees, maybe.
Like really? That much? Okay.
Fairly steep, right? So
interesting. Yeah. Okay. So what about like because like I looked at a bunch of like the aluminum extruded exposure enclosures rather, and that wasn't right for what I wanted to do because most of the things I'm doing is like RF based now. But you could do most of it as extruded, and then you can maybe even get a custom milled angled front plate or something like that. You could design something that plugs into basically the extrusion, Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna. I
could tell you were searching because you didn't really respond to what I said there.
Sorry.
You went like, no, that's a terrible idea, Chris. Usually that's what usually comes then.
Right.
That's why I could tell you were searching. Well,
sorry.
So I'll keep talking about my searches.
Anyway, Slopal.
My stuff is like, so I definitely wanted ABS. I definitely wanted, small. Like there's like this weird middle ground where it's like, and I'm going to speak in inches here, so please excuse me for that.
Right, I'll try and convert in real time.
Like 1.5 to like 3 inches roughly. You can kind of do rectangular up to square up to about 3 by 3 inches, and that's what I ended up choosing. But then they don't really go that deep anymore. They're only like 1.5 inches tall.
Right.
So like 45 millimeters tall by 90 to 100 millimeters square each X and Y, and like it's just there's no middle ground. Then it's like it hops from that up to like double in the Y direction. It hops up to like now you're basically a huge box.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, I found a photo. I sent you a photo of a kind of a box like I'm talking about.
I see what you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah. Can I see what this looks like? Is that what, or do you want me to keep this quiet? Let this image is.
Keep it quiet, maybe.
I have a thing that it kind of looks like in my head. That's why.
Yeah.
Like this. Yeah, can I say that out loud?
Okay. Yeah.
It kind of looks like an old school calculator. That's like kind of what it looks like.
Yeah. It's like an old school calculator with a tilty screen at the top.
At the top, right? Exactly. So you still had, okay. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense then. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Yeah. That I've never seen an enclosure like that.
Okay.
But I really wish if there's people listening. Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. So if there's people listening, I would love to have other. So I was using DigiKey mouse or whatever. But I want like a good way to search from China, because I know, people I complained about this on Twitter, and people were.
I know. Yeah.
Like Mohit from Particle, he was sending me like this video when he got to go to Shenzhen. It was just like boxes and boxes.
Yeah.
Oh,
you
man,
go to one of those stands.
I want to go to that.
All they do is make boxes, and you can just stand in front of that all day and go,
and trade shows have that too.
Yeah,
it's just like I don't have that now. I want some good way to like shop wherever the most are. Like I want to like have a, if I have to do VR, that's the one thing I'll do VR for, Dave. That's what I'll do. I swear, I'll go into the metaverse. I will go to the metaverse.
You'll go to the metaverse if you can search inside a shop in Shenzhen, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the only thing.
Totally.
And even I'm still going to complain about it, but I will do it because
he's threatening folks to join the metaverse.
That's right. I will.
It came out in the news the other day that the metaverse is failing because everyone's not using it with the head goggles. They're just using it on the desktop browser in 2D or something.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like
also,
it's completely failing.
Also, it's a terrible idea.
Yeah, I was like, I wouldn't need the goggle things. I just go inside the browser and zoom around.
Whatever. I just need some way. There is nothing that they've tried this many times specifically in like the trade show space, because there's like a ton of money in it, right? If you actually could make a good trade show experience, which they can't, they charge a ton of money. They just charge a ton of money for that sort of thing, both on the vendor side and then also on the attendee side. So if you could actually figure that out, you would make a ton of money. But it sucks. It sucks hard. It's hard to even get like a 3D view of boxes in most places. So like
exactly.
And also like I don't really blame the manufacturers in these cases, because they're selling plastic boxes.
I know.
It's not like they're like rolling it. It's not like they're selling $1,200 iPhones or something. They're selling literal plastic boxes. It's like, okay, well, Yeah, they don't have any money. Okay, that makes sense.
I love it.
So,
yep. Yeah. Anyway, yes, boxes. Anyway, I'm going to do another video on that.
Okay, great. I have a segue about virtual
Good.
worlds. I also I sent you another link earlier today about a thing that I'm posting about tomorrow, so it'll be out by the time this comes out. I did a completely remote hardware training. So I trained people how to use hardware without being in person.
Yeah, you you got into their computer, right? You can control their computer with
The magic is that they didn't have to install anything before they started.
Right.
So basically, I sent people a link.
Sounds like a security hole, but okay, continue.
It does sound like that. I sent them a link. They click on that link. Actually, I can send you a link of this.
And you now have their credit card details and their
yeah. And now I'm rich. And they go to a browser tab, and inside the browser tab is a operating system. It's basically Ubuntu with all of the software pre-installed, everything ready to go. The first thing you do is you open a terminal, you put in a line to do compile, and you're compiling software.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
That is pretty cool. I'll take my hat off to that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had to learn how to use Docker, which was difficult, but I had some help. So the only thing that doesn't work with it is that you have to download the binary at the end. So like you do whatever you want inside this container, right? You can compile whatever, you write different code in there and you compile it, whatever. And then at the end, because it's inside a browser window, there's no connection to your computer. Like that's the benefit. The thing that I ran into is that I had done training in the past where it was like, we'd spend half an hour just trying to get everyone in the room to get all of the prerequisites installed and everything working, right?
Right.
Because it's Zephyr and it's tough to do that sort of thing. So this is like, you just remove everything there. It's like, oh, you got a Mac, you got a Linux, you got a Windows. Who cares? It's a browser. You're inside someone else's. You're in my computer. You're in a virtual environment that has everybody has the same starting place from a container.
Oh, okay. So they're coming into so all this processing is being done on your computer?
It's done on AWS actually. So like basically they're each getting their own tiny little computer on AWS. They're peeking into it through the browser, which is like super cool.
Yeah.
And then they're running the compiler in there. So then the compiler's pre-installed. There's VS Code pre-installed. There's like a browser within the browser pre-installed. So you can like link people to stuff. Yeah, it's pretty trippy. But the downside is then it's in a browser, right? So then there's no way to get out to USB to actually talk to the device on your desk.
Oh, okay. So you can compile, you can simulate, you can do all that, but you can't.
That's right.
Actually talk to real hardware. Okay.
You can't talk to real hardware yet. It's a maybe in the future. But if that does work, I mean, I just think about all the trainings that I've gone to in the past where it's just like everything's ready to go and you're just learning the thing that actually matters, which is like how to learn how to use the code that this vendor is telling you about or whatever. Right. Just like all of the pain of setup is gone and then you're just ready to go. So we'll see if it works in the long term, but
interesting.
I'll send you a link afterwards. It's pretty cool.
Well, I'm on the page. Oh, and an actual link to do it.
Yeah, I'd like to go into the browser. It's like it's.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Please do.
Inside the the example program that is called Chasm.
Yeah.
There's they have a installer just to run Doom in the browser, which of course everybody's done before. But just like all the different applications you can run, it's, you gotta have Doom. You gotta have Doom, of course.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah.
Boy. Well, I can talk about low power hardware design because I just went around and audited my house.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, I just ordered it because my house was drawing 120 watts, right? In
everything
phantom
off.
power, everything's supposedly off, right? In quote marks, right?
Yeah.
So I went around and I ordered.
So like when I think about this, I think about like ordering a kilowatt and then like plugging into things, but that seems like a really terrible, boring way to do things. So how did you do it?
There were two ways to do it. One was that incredibly boring and tedious way, which I went around with my power meter like it's a proper power meter that can actually measure like apparent power versus real power, and the power factor and everything.
Okay.
Right. So I plugged that into every appliance. I went around and systematically unplugged and plugged it in series, and I was able to get the power draw from each one.
So like it plugs through the power meter, like a kilowatt or similar, right?
Yes,
That's what you're talking about?
it's the same thing. Yeah, except it's a Gaussian meter that's specifically designed for this, and it can do mean and average and data log and can do everything, right? But anyway,
that's better to have more data there anyway. Like kilowatt's pretty blunt instrument, I feel like.
Oh yeah, but it actually does the job, right? But my one can go down to microwatts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it can go down like I found that the lowest power appliance was my toaster. Right? You would think a toaster should be off, right? It should draw, like it's not a soft touch button toaster. It's a mechanical
it's
clunking toaster.
Physical thing that's happening, yeah.
But it drew 0.3 milliwatts, right? 300 microwatts, right? Of real power. Yeah, because it must, like, I haven't opened it up to see, but
coupling?
No. Leakage through either a mains filter cap or a transorb or something like that, interesting. A MOV or something like that, right? It's leakage current. So obviously that protection or filter component is on the main side of the mechanical push down switch.
I was thinking about the mechanical thing, like if it was like a big capacitor or something, but it does make sense that if there's like a Y cap across the incoming.
That would be an X cap.
X cap. Thank you. I get this wrong.
X cap goes across the mains, a Y cap goes to Earth. Yep.
Got it.
Anyway, so it's obviously leakage through that. It was 0.3 milliwatts. I thought that was hilarious. And this thing was able to measure that, Anyway, but the other method was when you can't, things that are physically connected to the mains, then I had to use, like, I can't just, physically pull the plug and plug in series, right? And you can't just use a clamp meter either, because I used a clamp meter. I opened my fuse box, my famous fuse box, which is the Australian death trap. It is. Okay. And I got in there with a clamp meter, and of course you can measure the current through individual wires, like air cons that are hard.
It can't be Romex. I know that one. You can't do it when it's Romex and it go in both directions.
Romex? What's
Romex is like the prefabricated like neutral and hot. Yeah, it's neutral. It's not neutral and hot. It's ground and hot, right? Basically like a black wire, white wire. With like a rubberized component over it. So that's usually what goes through the walls, is like 2 or 3 wire Romex that goes through the walls, instead of having individual not stranded wire, but individual wires going to a power point.
Oh, okay.
How do you guys, so what does it look like if you like took a hammer to your drywall in your house and you looked at a power point? What's going into the actual back of the plate?
Is a 3-core white mains cable. It's a 3-core white flat core, regular PVC sheathed mains cable.
Yeah, PVC. Okay, yeah, that's the same. That's what Romex is.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like the brand name, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I'm looking it up now.
Anyway, no, it's just a normal cable. It's just a normal mains cable that you use in your house.
It redirects to thermoplastic sheath cable. Right. North America.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Yeah. So it's a brand name.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so you can put a clamp meter on the individual wires coming out of the fuse box and stuff like that, but that doesn't tell you the power, right? That doesn't tell you the true power. It tells you the current, but of course the current can be out of phase with the voltage, and that's actually apparent power. That's not true power, right? You need a watt meter in there. You need to be able to measure the voltage and current at the same time to actually tell you your true power, because you're only charged for true power. You're not charged for apparent power, right? So you have to measure the true power.
Paul Zawada episode, right? We have to refer back to. Paul was on the show talking about real versus apparent power. The smart grid with Paul Zawada. 583. Yes, you do. Come on. It was both of us on here. He was telling us about those huge ass power installations.
Oh, right. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, the power transmission you're talking about. Yeah. Right. Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't in the house, but it was still.
Yeah.
That was like the most power-y kind of episode that we've done.
That we had. Yeah, exactly. I remember.
Well, it definitely showed how little we knew about power.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it was embarrassing. But I do know the difference between apparent and real power. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, so you can't just do it with the clamp meter. But luckily, I have 4 monitoring systems. I have no less than 4. Anyway, but I have one main one, which is the solar
solar
analytics monitoring system, right? And it can measure the true power. So what I was able to do, I found that during the day, I couldn't do this, right? I was getting errors because it gets the differential power between the power being imported to my house and being exported from my house, right? And at large powers, and at large amounts of energy during the day, my solar panels are actually producing energy. It's being exported, right?
Oh,
so
yeah,
it gives you.
You did an episode about this too, right? You did a
I've done heaps
analysis
of
for like.
Yeah,
I meant the battery thing you did recently.
Oh, yeah,
that was a
yeah.
good analysis. I like that. I like that video.
Yeah, so I've done that, and so the differential was giving me a large error when I'm trying to measure small currents, right? So it just didn't work. So I waited until night when my solar panels weren't producing anything, and then it gave me greater. In fact, it gave me an extra digit of resolution at night, actually. So it can measure the differential more accurately. So then I was able to actually use that and go around and systematically turn. Go to my fuse box and systematically turn something like my aircon power switch off, for example, the fuse off, and then I was able to get the differential power.
How'd your family react to this? Were they out of town?
They were sleeping, so
that helps. Okay.
Yep. So it didn't matter that I turned the lights off. It didn't matter that I turned the aircon off because the aircon's not being worked. It's spring.
Hopefully, you didn't have any alarm clocks set for the morning either.
The alarm clocks went. Yep. There was a bit of kerfuffle over that. But, anyway, so I was switching stuff off in the middle of the night, and I was able to get a differential power measurement, and then I could systematically measure each one.
So what was it? You said 130 watts extra, 120 watts.
Well, it turns out it was about 109 watts, but I was only able to account for 90 watts.
And
so there's an extra 19 watts unaccounted for.
Yeah, it's the bogeys in the wire. What was the 90 watts?
Oh, well, the 90 watts. You have to watch the video and see the spreadsheet. I've got a spreadsheet of all the highest power ones were the aircons, right? The aircons took like 35, 40 watts, right? Just in standby.
Just in standby.
Yep.
And that's not like, do you think that's on the coil or what is that? Where is that going?
I have no idea.
Time to rip apart the aircon. Summer's
I've got 4.
Summer's coming, but you've got a couple days.
Still, right?
Yeah,
so that's
maybe
that room,
10 family.
watts each. Yeah, I don't know.
God.
Anyway,
torturing your family.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's for science. This is for science.
Anyway, it's pretty awful, right? Anyway, so the next highest thing turned out to be my Wi-Fi and my modem. Were the next? They were like 8 each or something. 8 watts each. So if you leave those running overnight, there's like 16 watts just there.
I just remember they used to talk about TVs and vampire power.
Yes,
vampire power.
Phantom power, and it turns out, and I've got a spreadsheet of like 40 different items or something in my house that are physically connected. But I did forget. I think I know where the 19 watts is going from. I've also got 3 mains connected smoke alarms, which I completely forgot about. Because they used to be battery powered, and they still are actually. They have batteries in them as a backup, and we have to change the batteries, just in case they leak or something.
Yep.
But so I completely forgot that I had mains powered smoke alarms because we had to install those. It was compulsory when we added the extension on the house. It wouldn't pass compliance unless.
That's right. It's everything in the new.
Once you get the new standard. In fact, I'm going to be forced to upgrade my fuse box. If I add anything extra, I think it's compulsory that my fuse box, because my fuse box doesn't meet current standards. If you have a look at the video, it's a rat's nest. It doesn't. It's not built to current standards at all. So I have been warned that.
When I bought my Cleveland house, they're like, oh yeah, this is the type of fuse box that explodes in the U.S. There's some Pacific,
right, really? Okay.
Fuse box. Yeah,
what makes it explode? What was the?
There was some fatal flaw that they knew about, but it got grandfathered in a lot of places. But anytime you sell a house,
there you go.
Let's see if I could find something about it. One of my friends just bought a house, and it was one of the Federal Pacific electric panel. FPE was one of the most common ones, and damage caused by Federal Pacific panels. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Looks like because they were built in the 50s.
Right. I have a blog that says what to do if you own a Federal Pacific electrical panel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
freak
damage
out.
caused. Oh, yeah, here it is. Yeah, right.
Yeah, all of these things are basically like, oh, call us, we're electricians. You know, that's what these all of these things are. They're all like SEO type of articles, but yeah, you literally can't sell a house in the US
Yep.
if you have one of those. So
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So oh, really? You can't sell a house.
no, you won't pass inspection.
So you can't even be buyer beware. Like, can't even be sold as is. Really?
Well, maybe I spoke about that. I think every house I guess you can, because never mind, because like
I was going to say, yeah, I can't believe
a house inspector will call that out every time. How about that?
Yeah,
If
they
you get a
will
house
go.
inspected,
Oh, yeah,
then you
right.
will. Yeah.
Yes, you
But
pay
some
for a
people
house.
do sight unseen. So yeah, I guess you can.
Right.
There's no regulations about that.
Right.
But you should. It's a dumb idea.
Okay, here's some of the reasons. So they were produced from the mid 1950s into the 80s, and some of the reasons are wires may be crowded inside the panel box. Bus bars may be spring mounted.
Spring mounted. Surprise! Spring.
Surprise! There goes your bus bar. I don't know. I'm sure it's physically not that, but that's funny. Yeah. Breakers may be still active when in down position. Well, that's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And how do breakers work? Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And the last one is split bus breakers may no longer meet updated safety codes. So, well, that's just. Yeah. And there's design flaws. Breakers. There's 4 design flaws. Breakers may unexpectedly trip when the dead front cover is removed. Breakers may lose connections to the bus bars. Well, that's a problem.
Lose connections, yeah.
Breakers are often jammed within their sockets, which can cause overcrowding, and breakers can easily split when placed into sockets. Holy crap.
Yeah, none of that sounds good. That's bad. So wait, tell me about yours though. So is it actually a fuse box, or are you just saying fuse box?
No, it's actually a fuse box. It's a panel box which you open on the side of the house, and it's like a Bakelite backing. I don't know what the material is, but is that a thing in the US?
Not anymore, but yeah, Bakelite's
it's like a fiberboard backing, right? So it's a big backing.
It's
a big backing that, and you just drill. Now, if you want to install a new fuse for something, like you get a new aircon installed, you find a spare physical space in there, and you drill holes, and then you insert wires through the holes, and then you screw the little enclosure on the front. Huh. So it's I can.
But are fuses common versus breakers there?
Well, no, they're all now breakers. They're all no. Technically, I still have a couple of old. My box still has a couple of old wired fuses, actual fuses. So you pull the fuse out and there'd be fuse wire in there. And you would have to physically, if the fuse blew, you would have to actually get a screwdriver out, and you'd have to remove the old one. You'd have to install the new fuse wire, physical fuse wire, and then you plug it back in.
I'm surprised because you've had external, like you have your solar stuff and you have your car charger. So I would imagine at a certain point they'd be like, well, why don't you just switch this over to breaker? Isn't a breaker is a breaker safer? I guess that's the part I don't know.
Oh no, all of my things are based on a breaker. They're all based on a breaker, but it's physically how the breaker is mounted inside the panel is the difference, really. So I can send you a. Here is the link, and go to the 10. I can. Oh, hang on. There you go. I will send you a photo. I will snip it, and I will send you a snapshot so you know what I'm talking about. Oh, come on. And this will come on.
Good stuff.
This is great radio. Really this is
So I've always had the perception that breakers are better than fuses unless they're FP&E or Federal Pacific, whatever. Yeah, but maybe that's not correct. I don't know.
Yeah, so as you can see, right, if you have a look at my fuse box there, right, you can see that they're all physical breakers. That they're all breakers, right? They're all individual breakers, but normally in the US, in one of your new fuse boxes, all these little, you can see that there's a box with four of them there mounted in series. Yeah. A fuse box in the US would have 20 or 30 of those. Right.
That's right. Yeah. So you're saying, so I see what you're saying. So these are all individual breakers.
Individually wired. So if you pull out that panel.
So I was confused by the term fuse box, but you're just saying that there's not actual fuses. Are there physical fuses?
No, I was actually mistaken. There are not any. Well, there are some. You see the two in the center left, that the next white ones, 2 small white ones, is center left.
with the yellow dot.
Yep, with the yellow handle on there. They're new breakers installed into old ceramic fuse holders.
Yeah, interesting.
Right? So, yeah, you can physically, like, you can go to local hardware store and you can buy replacement breakers that instead of plugging into a DIN rail, they plug into an existing ceramic fuse holder. So, yeah.
Right. And I think, the breaker's different, like the 220 breakers like you have.
Yep.
This is what I think about when I think about like European style, which I know obviously is Aussie style as well, right? It's just like the same kind of manufacturer for the higher voltage stuff. But in the US, I think it's because of that split, like dual phase, like the either or stuff. That's, I think, part of the reason why they do it.
Your one's different. Yeah, you guys have the split phase thing here, whereas most houses here are single phase. So you've just got the 2 wires coming in. You'll have the neutral and the active.
It's a higher voltage.
Yep.
Yeah, so that makes more sense then. Yeah, okay. All right, so I get what you're saying. Maybe I can post this. Can I post this? Is that okay?
Yeah. Photo. Yeah.
Oh, this is a screenshot. Yeah. This is a screenshot
that's just a screenshot from the video. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. I'll post the video. Yeah.
And then so if you physically swing that out, you can see on the left there's like hinges there. On the right there's hinges, and you physically pull the panel out, and it's just a rat's nest of wires behind there. Each one of those is individually wired.
See, now that part makes me nervous, I think. But I would never actually be, like, an electrician would be swinging that out, not a Chris. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I get the heebie-jeebies every time I swing it out, but I'm getting less heebie-jeebie now. I'm getting more comfortable with it, but still, you know.
So where do your mains come in? Like what is at the actual like power service? Is there like a main 100 amp service?
You can see on the top, on the left-hand side of the import grid counter box there's a big black thing with 2 white wires coming out of it. That is the 60 amp input from the street. So that's the 60 amp input.
That's it?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
That's it. Oh, yeah. We've got a single 60 amp. Can you turn that off or no? Yes, there's a switch next to those 2 ones we were talking about before with ceramic holder. There's a big black switch.
Oh, yeah.
That is a 60 amp switch. So that, if I physically want to...
It makes me nervous just like looking at this photo. I'm such a wimp. I am such a wimp.
No, same here. Same here. Yeah. No, yeah. So if I want to work on this panel, yes, I would switch. I would disconnect. I would switch that, flip that black switch, and I'm disconnected.
You'd still have 60 amps coming to the box.
Oh yeah. There's still 60 amps, 240 volts.
It's just not going to the rest of the box.
No, it's just hopefully not. You know, it's just hopefully that switches.
It does make it interesting. Like, why don't they put the kill switch away from the main box? You know, like
I know. Yeah, I don't know.
With a nice big red light on it. You know, it's like, oh, this is definitely off. You know,
this is definitely off. Yep, the entire box is disconnected. No, but when you're working in that box, there is at least 1 live wire there coming from the street.
Yeah,
there's no way to switch it off.
That's the thing. I always used to feel better in my old Cleveland house. So like my current place, I have 200 amp service because it's 120 volts. I have 200 amp service. Yeah. And for like I got like electric water heater, stuff like that, and it's coming from the street, but a single box for my whole house. My old house in Cleveland, that stuff that they ripped out and replaced because it was knob and tube, I think I mentioned on the show before, but they actually put in a sub panel as well. Yeah. And the thing I loved about that is that you could go and shut off the whole sub panel.
Ah, yes.
And that's what I want for the whole. That's what I want for the whole house. Yeah. And then I felt. Yeah. Even though, then I definitely left it on that one time I was working on it by accident and I killed myself, but still, I felt better.
Right.
Yeah. And it was only 60 amps that would have gone through my body at that time.
Yeah. So. I have totally not been in my roof one time and cut a mains cable, a live mains cable, and had my pliers.
Zappy. Go Spark.
There is not a chunk taken out of my good C&K pliers due to that.
Yep.
That I thought I'd switched it off, and no, it never happened.
Yep.
Oh boy. Anyway, there you go.
Well, we didn't win the Darwin Awards this time, but you know what, Dave?
No.
There's new awards every year.
Every year. Yep, that's right. All you got to do is remove yourself from the gene pool. Yep.
Just we gotta just avoid the award ceremony. That's all we gotta do for a couple more decades, and we'll be good.
All right. Well, our ampo's up. We didn't even get through the list. We didn't even get the Reddit list.
I was looking at other things that are on the list that are the top one. We haven't really talked in like a month.
Yeah, I know.
YouTube made their own chip. There's a new Kai kit or Key kit plugin. That's pretty cool. What else is on here?
Someone says, I will like a camera that runs underwater without batteries. I don't know. Oh, it's a saltwater battery. Okay, I guess.
There's new chip companies. What's it? Not Ultron. Micron is starting a new. They're building a new thing in the U.S. Probably not that interesting to most people. This one I do want to mention. This I found out about from The Prepared, which is a newsletter by former guest Spencer.
Sounds like a bunch of preppers.
It does kind of sound, but I think it's a play on like
monthly. Have you subscribed to The Prepared?
The fortune favors The Prepared. I think it's like a play on that.
But
anyways, it's like logistics and manufacturing, and he talks about electronics, and he has different editors and whatever. Whoever the editor was last week linked one of the longest videos ever. It was like a 35-day video.
Yeah.
And this is the edited version down to 72 minutes.
2 minutes. I see it. I'm watching it.
Yeah. And it's basically just following.
It follows the logistic supply chain.
That's right. It's actually, this is shown in reverse, but I think the original thing was in the other direction. It was like a 35-day video, but it was basically going from the factory in China onto a shipping container, filming the entire time on the shipping container, and then all the way to
So they slapped
Sweden.
the camera on the side of the shipping container?
I mean, they must have set it up with a shipping company, however they did this.
Oh, yeah, I know, because the shipping container
this is on the top of the
be on the top. Yeah, it happens to be on the top of the ship.
Yeah, I think this must be in like the actual ship, like on, a GoPro or whatever they had in 2012. But
and they've just added in like the parts where something's happening. There's a nice sunset or something, and they haven't.
It's only the beginning and the end are interesting. Everything else,
it's
just
like
shipping
out at sea,
across the entire ocean, right? I mean, because it's literally going from like China to Sweden. Like that's incredibly boring. Oh, actually, no. I guess they have multiple ports they stop in as well, but still, just like really interesting, really interesting kind of stuff. So,
wow,
yeah, something to do if you're like, taking the day off, smoking some pot, just want to chill out and watch a shipping container.
70 minutes of your logistics. Here comes your funny novelty gadget from.
There it is. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
China to Sweden.
Not there yet. Not there yet.
Great. Good stuff.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yep.
All right.
Well,
that's it.
Good show.
Oh,
see you soon.
Don't we have to spoil it? Don't we have to spoil it?
Oh yeah, now you can spoil it.
Yeah. Around to the end.
Yeah.
What happened?
Right. What is the spoiler?
What happened is the MEMS oscillator was on the power supply board, and the MEMS oscillator cracked internally because MEMS, it's one of those machine things, so it's got physical little mechanical arms and stuff. It cracked because of the physical resonance caused by the vibration of the bypass capacitors on the power supply board. They just happened.
That's awesome.
To the switching frequency of the power supply just happened to match. Well, it wasn't. It maybe some. Anyway, if it's switching at 15 kilohertz, it might have. At 30 kilohertz or something might have been the mechanical resonance failure point. But yeah, some harmonic of that caused the physical destruction, cracking internally of the MEMS oscillator.
Crazy.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's a good find.
Oh,
they must have felt good when they found it, but that still sucks.
Oh, it's great. And they shared it with and they shared photos, and they shared 3D modeling of it and how they found it and everything with their accelerometers and whatnot. And it was great. Anyway, that's what my video is mostly about. So, there you go. Spoiler. Catch you next time.